to talk about Browns camp, what the Browns are going through, some of the injury stuff, and where we are with the quarterbacks. We head out to the fan hotline. Welcome on Cleveland.com Browns writer. She joins us every Wednesday as we take you through football season here. Ashley Bastock with us. Ashley, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys. Day 7 of camp. I can't believe it's kind of flying by, dare I say. It's kind of flying by. I can't believe we just completed day 7.
So MJ Emerson speaks to the media one day. He's down with an injury the next. DeJuan Jones speaks with the morning boys yesterday. He had the heat-related illness today. Is the media single-handedly bringing down the Browns' chances of winning in 2025?
Well, I think that's the narrative some folks on social media are going to put together regardless of who gets hurt or who doesn't. But yeah, I will say as a reporter, that is always obviously something you are concerned about, because from my experience, if I'm working on a story on somebody and they get hurt, like it's much harder to then do the story you want to do. I've had to scrap total stories in the past because of injuries. I've also avoided players suffering serious injuries like right before I run a big story on them. So it is I will say I have experienced it personally, very nerve-wracking. Obviously so unfortunate that Martin Emerson is going to be done for the year. He's such a good locker room guy and interview always. So very, very unfortunate when you have 2 incidents like that. And thank goodness DeJuan Jones it was heat related and not a serious injury for the second day in a row here.
Yeah, it almost feels, Ashley, like a be careful what you wish for type moment if you're Greg Newsome. Like, he's been basically telling you and every reporter there for years that he wants to play the outside. He's going to get a chance. Do you think he's going to live up to the expectations that he's only really put on himself at this point?
Yeah, I'm really curious about Greg because, we know a lot of times when these first round guys play out their 5th-year option, like it's not the best position you want to be in. You basically want to get that next contract before you even have to go down that route. And I'm really curious to see more of Greg out there. I think I can't answer if he's going to live up to expectations just because we haven't seen him take that many outside reps in years now, ever since they drafted Martin. I mean, he primarily moved into the slot back in that Joe Woods defense, the last year of Joe Woods as defensive coordinator here. And obviously different than a Schwartz defense. He was complaining at the time that he felt like his responsibilities were more like a linebackers as opposed to corners. He hasn't felt that way in a Jim Schwartz system, but we're going to see, right? It still has been a majority of his snaps have been in the slot. So it's going to be a tough test for him. And obviously it's a contract year. So that's the interesting little wrinkle in all of this.
Ashley, MJ's going to miss the season, given that he hasn't been in camp yet, and we don't know if there will be a suspension coming due to the off-the-field issues. Quinshon Judkins looks like he's not going to be able to help you for the full season at least. At what point is this roster, like how many of the bigger name guys get hurt or get taken out in one way or another before it's maybe time to readjust our expectations for this Browns team?
I mean, it's a good question. I think it's kind of fair to start reassessing them already based on that. And look, the biggest issue with this team is going to be we still don't have an answer at quarterback. Like, there's just not a surefire answer at quarterback. That makes it really, really difficult to win football games. But with the defense specifically, it's those 2 things you mentioned. And then Jordan Hicks retired last week, and he was going to be another big piece. Now, I think Carson Schwessinger, the rookie out of UCLA, is going to be a pretty good linebacker, but he is still a rookie. We haven't seen him in an NFL game, so you kind of want to temper expectations a little bit in that regard and not put too much on a rookie's plate right away. And I think this defense has taken a couple of blows this week, and it is concerning from the standpoint of if the Browns are going to surprise some people, I think it's going to have to be because their defense is one of the best in the league, that it's much more like 2023 than 2024. And your offense is going to have to take care of the football, which obviously that didn't happen last year either. So I think, look, like, I don't know how many wins exactly Martin Emerson Jr., Jordan Hicks, and however much time Quinshon Judkins has to miss, how many wins we should subtract. But I think it's already, just with those couple of guys, time to be like, okay, we're getting kind of thin in some spots right now. What is this feasibly going to look like, and what is success going to be this year for this team?
Has Dillon Gabriel been closer to impressive or closer to underwhelming?
It's kind of tough for me to characterize it, I think, either way with that, because I think with Dillon Gabriel, like me personally, I didn't spend a ton of time with him, like tracking him throughout the pre-draft process. Like, I just never would have guessed he was on this team's radar. But I do think it's also difficult because we know they have put more on his plate, right? Like, especially him and Kenny Pickett, they were really experimenting a lot. I think for me, the part that's underwhelming, if we want to characterize it as that, just being some of the size issues that pop up today. I mean, today, Shelby Harris batted a pass of his down at the line of scrimmage. And I think sometimes you do tend to see him get a little panicky when he makes some of these bad throws. And he made like 3 bad throws in a row today, up until making about a 30 or 40-yard completion to, I believe it was Caden Davis. And that was like good for a touchdown in one of the team periods. So that felt like the throw everyone was highlighting today. But I think it's tough just because I will say I didn't have necessarily super high expectations for him just coming right into training camp. Number one, because I was curious to see what he looked like from a size standpoint going against this line and a first team defense. And number two, because he's still a rookie. So I don't know how much underwhelming it's going to be, but I will say I don't feel like that's necessarily a knock on him or his future, so to speak.
Ashley Bastock, Cleveland.com, Browns writer on the Fan Hotline. Do we have any update on Kenny Pickett and whether he'll be able to rejoin the quarterback kerfuffle here in the short term?
Well, as we know, they don't like to say a ton about these injuries. It sounds like he's going to be reevaluated tomorrow, which is their off day. And then we'll see where things stand on Friday. Really what they're calling like phase 3 of training camp will begin next week. So they'll have one practice out here on Monday before they head to Carolina for one joint practice out there. So I still think it's a wait and see situation. I mean, I thought it was interesting yesterday. Jimmy Haslam kind of went out of his way to multiple times basically lament not having Kenny Pickett. So that kind of perked my ears up. Like, okay, how serious is it that the owner's bringing it up multiple times, that it's unfortunate because he was playing so well? The tone of that press conference got me thinking a little bit on that, but we haven't really gotten anything else substantial. Just we'll be reevaluated tomorrow. So I guess from that standpoint, it's good that they're saying there's at least a chance for him to be reevaluated within these 24 to 48 hours coming up.
Yeah, Ashley, I thought it was interesting that the owner also brought up that he wants to see the 2 rookie quarterbacks play, though. Like, did you find that interesting as well?
Oh, absolutely, because I think that's the question on everyone's mind. And it's what I get asked. I get messages like, do you think we're going to see both these guys play this year? Do you think they're going to trade somebody? And that quote to me was fairly telling because it's kind of what we've been speculating, which is you bring these 2 guys in here, you took 2 swings at the plate later in the draft this year, but you still have those 2 first rounders next year and what they think is going to be a stronger quarterback class. Now, Jimmy Haslam, the other interesting note yesterday was he said he doesn't think Arch Manning will even come out next year. So thought that was an interesting point to make, given, he knows the Manning family. He said he didn't know Arch, but that would be his guess. So all of those things you have to consider. Like, in order to know what you're going to do next year, you have to know what you have already coming out of this year and how you're going to want to proceed with Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. So understandable he wants to see them both play. And I think like that's the kind of quote you're just not going to get out of Andrew or Kevin in a press conference setting because they don't want to overly commit to anything or bite on a question like that. But Jimmy Haslam, I thought, gave the most definitive answer on that yesterday.
Ashley, I have the dreaded twofer question. One, what progress in limited reps does Deshaun Or is there progress with Shador, rather, not Deshaun? And then is it too late for him to make a case and get reps to maybe try and be the week 1 starter?
Yeah, I think the problem is as we see him go out there and you're seeing everyone else basically get these reps with the ones, the first team offense, especially. I think we saw him today against the first team defense a little bit. They were doing some more mixing and matching today. But I do think it's just tougher because, like, as a quarterback, you're not developing that chemistry through no fault of your own that you need to with your pass catchers and your running backs and all those things. And in general, I've told people this, except under rare circumstances and you take a guy extremely high, I'm pretty much against starting rookie quarterbacks earlier than you have to, unless you absolutely have to, unless it's a surefire, like, top 5 pick that you just hit on. It's asking a lot of them. I think a lot of times quarterbacks come into the NFL, and even rookie, like, backup quarterbacks, even that is a huge ask for guys. It's a big job. You don't know what you don't know. And I would just be wary. Like, I would think that it's getting close to a point where you're really going to have to start winnowing down these reps if you're the Browns, because especially I've had my eye on those joint practices in Philly in a couple of weeks. Like, you're really going to have to know how you want to operate there, who you're going to give the reps to versus that first team Philly defense, and then who you're going to play in that game and how you want to divide reps in the game. So the Kenny Pickett injury, of course, has, depending on when he's available, has thrown a wrench into all of this. But I would think at some point you're going to have to, like, in the coming days in this next phase, maybe they're going to have to make a decision there.
Out of the first 7 days, who have you just been the most impressed with? And just a general, like, this guy's popped out to me.
This is a name I think people are, maybe fans have keyed in on this guy. I actually don't know, but I feel like we just haven't been talking about him as much because of the quarterback battle. I'm going to actually say Deontay Johnson has been impressive to me. Like, I think the Browns came out this offseason, they signed him. We've talked about it was kind of a low risk move in the sense of, like, what they gave him. They didn't have to trade for him. It's just like a 1-year deal, minimum deal. But when you watch Pro Bowl caliber receivers in practice, there is just something different about them, something so precise about their route running. And I think, the attitude with him is going to have to be right. He's going to have to be bought in. We know he bounced around a lot last year, and I think the Browns view it as anything they get from him is an extra, right? Like, I don't even think you can for sure pencil him in yet. But I have been really impressed with some of the catches he makes with his route running. I think if he can keep it together with all that intangible stuff, he's shown enough in practice as he's worked his way up and learned this offense and gotten in shape, gotten the conditioning part down. I've come away impressed with him throughout this first week and a half of camp.
Ashley, what will define this season for the Browns?
Ooh, what will define this season? Should we keep it non-quarterback? Because I think, like, quarterback is the obvious answer. Like, it's gonna, like, quarterback is what everyone's been talking about. I'm kind of sick of talking about the quarterback situation. I'm gonna say turnovers. Turnovers on both sides of the ball. Can this defense create turnovers, and can this offense take care of the ball? I think really, besides quarterback and what happens there, that's going to be the number one thing. And even if you have, I don't know, like like if fans just want to pencil in Joe Flacco, or you're hoping for Joe Flacco and that's how it works out, I think his success is still going to be, okay, is he throwing interceptions or not? Are we getting that best version of Joe or not? If we see the rookies start, can they take care of the football? And then this defense only created 12 total turnovers last year. That's just not going to cut it. In terms of where this team stands with its offense right now, you need your defense to produce more than that. They had the worst net turnover number in the league last year. So I would say for me, that is like the biggest X factor that I won't tie just one position group too. It really is across the board.
On the defensive front, like a week or so ago, I had tabbed Mason Graham as the least talked about 5th overall pick in NFL history.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, you just don't bring him up ever. But like every clip I see, and I was out at camp yesterday, he seems awesome. Like, do you see that as well? Is he just making waves and we just aren't discussing it as a whole because we're too enamored with the quarterback discussion and trying to figure out the offense?
Yeah, I think that's fair because, even in spring practices, some of what he was doing was just jumping out at me in terms of his athleticism, the way he can rush, which even if you watched him in college, you didn't see that because it's not the system Michigan played with him. Like, he essentially had to sit there and eat up blocks, which is exactly what the Browns don't want Mason Graham to do. There was a video, I kind of saw it going viral yesterday that I think the team account posted of him going through a team rep. I think it was either a team rep or some kind of pass rush drill. And fans were sharing it because it looks really good. So now I think the next step is obviously seeing him in a game setting, but he's certainly done enough, looked athletic enough, and formidable enough in terms of his pass rushing that's left me wanting to see more, especially because we know he didn't really get to do that at Michigan and he still is a rookie. So who knows what his ceiling could be with that.
Ashley, great stuff as always. Obviously, 7 days in camp down, but they still have a while to the regular season. So let's hope we're done for big news for the rest of this week. I think we've had enough of the big news so far.
Famous last words. Oh my goodness, that is what we call a jinx. That's famous last words.
Wait, I jinxed us?
This is on you now if we have another injury.
If something happens, I'm going to come looking for you now.
I mean, here's the thing there, John Wick. You and the media have been cursing this team. I couldn't possibly be me. I'm spinning. My wheels are spinning. Ashley, great stuff.
All right, thanks, guys.
Ashley Bastock there, Cleveland.com.